Good morning, everyone. It's Rick, your friendly comic book scientist. I want to say good morning. I'm going for a little walk here in Eastern Washington, and I thought I would say good morning and say I'm going to start a new thing soon where I am going to start doing some comic books for charity, meaning charity. I will work on books that are for free, that are of little to no value to anyone but the owner. So if someone needs a book worked on and that book's got a cool story attached to it and they're the only ones that have, any emotional attachment, I'll work on that book. You pay for shipping both ways, I'll fix your book for you. And I want to do that, I can't do it too many times, but of course, once or twice a month. And, obviously, I'm not cleaning any comic books out here. I'm in the middle of Eastern Washington, a little place we have where I like to go for my walks and watch the sunrise out here. And also my website's getting updated. It's getting there. No one ever tells me anything, so things are happening, but it should be up by the end of the week. I hope you had a happy Memorial Day, by the way. So for those of you in the US, it was Memorial Day on Monday. So I want to start off by also saying that I want to start telling some stories. I want to capture and preserve not just these books, but I want to capture the elements, the stories that are important for us, for the community. Like what makes this, why do these things have any kind of history? Why do they have some kind of attachment? It's not dollars, man. It's not the bucks. These books are important emotionally to us, and us old farts are dying off, and I've had some talks recently with, I won't say who, I'm not supposed to, but some big high up people that work at big high up publishers that also feel the same way, and they want to find a way to tie in, to grab new collectors, new people, and make them into collectors and not just movie watchers and video game players of the properties, right? They want to preserve it. They feel the same way. So working on some things there, and it might be fun and interesting. We'll see what happens. I wish I could tell you. I really do, because I think it's probably a low chance, because just say the fact that my name and the name of Immaculate Comics has come up on boardroom floors and places in Manhattan is shocking to me, because we only have like 2,000 subscribers. There's only like 30 people who watch this video, but it's nuts to think about it. But anyway, I'm going to start off. I want to get some stories from you guys too, and whether that's a video or you write me a letter and I read it, or or maybe we have a Zoom call and you tell me your story. I want to capture some of these stories. I was talking to Collecting Chaos about this. I think he would support this as well. He's an upright dude, and he's very good at restoring comic books, as well. And so I think we can together do these things. We can preserve this history and invite new people to get into it. Well, so here's my story. I'm old, right? And even in 1987, I had been collecting Spider-Man for a long time, and I'll show you some pictures of me at that time. So I had so I'm talking about my book, like what's an important book to me that's maybe not as important, maybe not worth slabbing, maybe not worth grading, but it's important to me. Well, for me, and this one doesn't really count because it's important to a lot of people, was Kraven's Last Hunt. So put yourself in my shoes. I'm 16 years old. I've been collecting Spider-Man for a while. And Spider-Man got killed in this first issue. I think it was Spectacular Spider-Man 131 and 132, Web 31 and 32, and Amazing Spider-Man 293, 294. I could be mistaken. I'm not near my computer. I did not check these things out like I should have. It was written by J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck. Now, I get in a car accident. I'm working on a farm in Junction City, Oregon, and I broke my leg and my sternum, cracked my sternum. Was in the hospital. I got hurt. I was really tired, and I crashed my car into another car, and I ended up crashing into the same guy twice in my life. This is the first time I crashed into this guy who was actually a police officer, which is really weird. But anyway, so I get in this, I get in a car accident in the hospital, and I get, somebody goes to the comic book store for me. This was in August of 1987, and I get Spectacular 131, an Amazing 293, and Web, I don't think I got the Web 31 just yet. So I'm in the hospital, not having a good time, right? I'm in pain. It's not great. This is in Eugene, Oregon. somebody brings me, my friend brings me these Spider-Man comic books where Spider-Man gets killed. Now, also recognize that this isn't today. Like, people didn't just kill off comic book characters back in 1987 and have them come back. It's cliche now, but back then, that shit didn't. Stuff did not happen at that time. So, different time. You know, I did not need to read the Spider-Man getting killed stuff. You know, and there was rumors flying at the comic book store, people saying, "Oh, the Spider-Man's gonna die. They're gonna replace him with Kraven." I'm like, Kraven? I'm like, what are those guys? What kind of drugs are those guys on at Marvel? But there were there were also other rumors of weird stuff happening. Now, also put yourself in my shoes. This is 6 months, okay? 6 months before ASM 300. There was no Venom yet. We also were hearing rumors about this stuff too. Like, there's something changing. We don't know. We didn't have any way of knowing stuff. We just heard by talking to each other over a counter. Half this stuff was just completely made up. So, where I'm like, what? Was this what's happening? What's going on? Not only is it 6 months before that, it's like 4 issues, dude. Four issues before, Todd McFarlane started too, his work on Spider-Man. This is crazy times in comic books, and I was 16 years old. It was just, it was just crazy. So what happens is Spider-Man gets killed, and then Kraven runs around in the Spider-Man suit, proving that he could be a superior Spider-Man. Now, sound familiar? Like a superior Spider-Man run? I know. But it was really good stuff. It was really, really well written. And it was, encased with lots of quotes of William Blake's Fearful Symmetry, or Tiger, something like that. Some poem that we had been reading in high school. And a friend of mine, Catherine, had written this poem on her Peachy, which is an old type of notebook people used to carry. So I was like, all these things were tying together for me at once, and I was like, what the hell's going on, dude? I was like, right when I was, also some pictures of me. I'll post some photos of me at the time. I had my leg broken, cars wrecked, and I'm like, oh man, this completely sucks. It was awful. But the book was so good. And I was like, this is so dark. This is like that Frank Miller stuff, like The Dark Knight, it was reminding me of that kind of thing. Now remember, this didn't really happen in Spider-Man. It was not something we would see at all. And then Mary Jane came into this in a big way, because Mary Jane was sort of defining, what they were doing was defining or redefining what Spider-Man meant. And that Peter Parker was not a dude in a suit that went around, busting heads and things. He was essentially a good human being, and when tested and challenged, he was still a good human being and a good Spider-Man. And Mary Jane was a big part of that story too, and it sort of redefined the soul of Peter Parker, which only got to be defined for a few issues before McFarlane's run came into play, and it sort of took some wild turns. But it was really, really important to to put a stake in the sand and say that this is Peter Parker. Peter Parker is, in his soul, a good person who does the right things for the right reasons, and it's not to be a good Spider-Man. He's not that. That's not the goal, right? It's to be a good Peter Parker, and that was important to me. That's an important book, and it sort of defined me. It sort of gave me some ideas about how I wanted to live. Because when you're in a hospital and you're 16, you reflect on yourself a little bit, right? And what's going on? How did I get here? What's going to happen to me? And that's why that book and that story is important to me. I remember taking it home from the hospital. They cut my pants up, and they give you special hospital pants, because I had to cut my pants off to put my cast on in the hospital. And the things I take out of the hospital with me are some shredded blue jean leggings and making them into cutoffs, and whatever was in my pockets, my lunch, from working on the farm, my lunch bag, and these Spider-Man books that I still have, and I'll show them later. I don't have them with me in this trip, but that's the story. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful story. It's such good reading, and it means more to me because I was, I was there. I was there in the hospital. I was hurt. I was in a traumatic situation. It killed Spider-Man off. I was like, what are you guys nuts? But the story was so good, and I reread it every once in a while too. And the art by Mike Zeck, you know, because at the time I think he had done Web of Spider-Man #1. That was crazy good. I was like, what is all this stuff? And he done some great. I had a poster of Black Cat, and she had some bunch of cats running in her room or something, drinking milk off the floor or something, which of course Felicia already doesn't do. But it was a great poster. And I was like, wow, this is Zach and Matthias, and this is like sort of like the Batman Killing Joke thing, kind of a little bit, a little dark that way, but it was great, man. It was an emotional roller coaster, I'll tell you that much. And so, for that reason, that's one book I want to mention. Is it's not just a book; it's six books, but they're well read. And you know, put yourself in 1987 Rick Morgan world, and that's what you get. I hope that helps. And keep on watching the channel, guys. I really appreciate you guys more than you know. You know, I really do appreciate this, and not just in a sort of monetary, like comic family, make money kind of sense. It's just that this stuff is heritage to me, and it's important. And you guys are really, really important to me. Your comments, your questions, what we're doing here is we're preserving a culture, and not just the American people, man. It's the guys from Scotland, which I go to Scotland every once in a while. I love it there. The guys from Austria, Germany. Lots of my Canadian friends. I really love hearing from you guys, because this isn't just an American culture thing. It's American culture appreciated worldwide for something bigger than it is. So anyway, take care, you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.